Good morning. And so, hang on a second. I just wanted to get this because, last week I introduced this new 6-week series that we're officially beginning today based on Brené Brown's book, Braving the Wilderness, right? And we began really by looking at the universal human need that we all have to belong, and how it's important to distinguish between true belonging and fitting in. So true belonging, we don't want to change ourselves in order to fit in or to belong to some group. That costs us too much. It costs us our integrity, it costs us true connection, and it can cost us our joy ultimately. So true belonging is really being fully ourselves, our beautiful selves, our beautiful, divinely human, authentic self, and then connecting from that place. And so we also talked about how, why this is so important to talk about now, in this time when so many people are feeling disconnected from their center, from their spiritual center, and disconnected from one another. That it's important to really reconnect, focus on reconnecting with our spiritual self, reconnecting with each other. And so as we move forward with this series, we'll explore how we can really anchor ourselves in our spiritual truth and stay in integrity with our values. And secondly, keep our hearts open with empathy and love in this divided time, and to take action from a place of love. Yeah. Looking forward to that. And third, to embrace our wild, brave hearts. You ready? Yes. Okay, let's begin. All right, so in the book, Brené talks about how she has a sign posted up in her office that is a piece of advice that Oprah Winfrey gave her. And it says, "Do not think you can be brave with your life and your work and never disappoint anyone." It doesn't work like that. Yeah, she needs to be reminded. I need to be reminded. I think sometimes, we're afraid to step out and share our truth, or to present something new, or, change the way we've done something, offer something different that other people are doing. We're afraid to kind of rock the boat, right? Make waves. I recognize that in myself, And I recognize that now, speaking truth, particularly speaking truth to power, can be dangerous. We've seen what's happened with Renee Good, right? And Alex Preddy. We've seen what's happened. And so we look for bravery. Who are the people who are brave? Who's going to speak up? Who's going to take action? Where are the innovative ideas that address the real problems that we have? Where are the values, the professed Christian values? It's hard to find in Washington, right? But I know where there are some brave people, and that's the streets of Minneapolis. I'm sure many of you have seen the videos, the beautiful community that has come together in force and has stood up and said, "Not here. Nope. We're a community that takes care of one another. We're a community that loves our neighbors. They are strong. They're brave. They're loving and compassionate. And a few videos that I have seen have really moved me. There was one where a group was standing outside of the hotel where ICE was staying for the night and peacefully demonstrated singing. They were singing together, chanting things like, we share the same land, we share the same land, we share the same land. I don't know what the melody is, but something about we share the same land. And there are other groups who are singing. They're coming together and they're singing. There's one called Singing Resistance. The Singing Resistance group. And, they come together marching in huge numbers and beautiful voices. And they're singing in churches and they're singing, out on the streets. And they're singing, we belong to them, they belong to us. We belong to them, they belong to us. So speak of belonging, right? And then there's one I saw recently of a group of Minnesotans that are gathered on a frozen lake. And I guess up there, that ice must be thick enough because there's like hundreds of people and families, and they're all gathered on the ice, and they're sharing food, and there's a big brass band, and they are lighting these luminaries and sending them up into the evening sky in a pattern that spells out ice out. That's creative. And of course, the Buddhist monks that have been walking for peace, braving the elements, braving the exhaustion. I think it's been over 100 days now, right? And exuding love and compassion with every step, and awakening love and compassion in the hearts of everybody who witnesses. There are some people here who have been to that, to have seen the Buddhist monks walk. You feel that energy, and those crowds are growing, right? So there is love and compassion. There is bravery. There are brave people who are coming out, and speaking their truth from a place of love. Now, some people might dismiss this as it's ineffective, ultimately ineffective, right? You've heard that. But I don't know. I'm seeing a little crack. I'm seeing a little opening, aren't you? Yes. A little bit of change happening here. And also, it inspires us. It gives us courage and helps us to see what's possible for humanity. And I think that's what happens when we align ourselves with our spiritual center. We see what's possible. So rather than trying to fit into, this sort of current narrative, or fit into what has gone before, or a limited idea of humanity, we can see what's possible. And from that place, we can create a new possibility. We can create a new possibility. Are you ready to create a new possibility together? Absolutely. And, as Oprah said, living our truth and, being brave in our life and our work, we might raise some hackles. That's okay. What's the alternative? So, I talk a lot here about consciousness, that it all begins in consciousness, And if we want to create something new, it begins in our intention, the intention in our consciousness. So, We want to align all levels of our being with that intention. So if we have the intention to say, help heal humanity, when we have that intention, but we're not moving forth, we're not stepping out, or we get caught in the consciousness of, well, is this really doing anything? Is all my prayers, my sincere prayers for humanity, is that moving the needle at all? Is my participating in this march going to make any difference at all? So if we get caught in that kind of thinking, that sort of pulls us out of alignment. Also, if we get caught at the ego level, if we're doing it from the ego level, then we're just going to thwart all of our efforts. So braving the wilderness, for me, is about trusting that there is something deeper at work here, and that we all have a part to play in it. So we want to align ourselves with that higher purpose and bravely step forth. We want to align ourselves with that higher purpose and bravely step forth. So, also, braving the wilderness, this braving the wilderness idea, we want to approach it one step at a time, right? And practice. We want to do this one step at a time. We don't get overwhelmed with all this. We want to do one step at a time and to practice these things. And so I have some ideas about how we can practice. And if I could have the first slide, we'll look at these together. So we can check in with ourselves during the day and ask yourself, am I being authentic right now? By the way, you don't have to write this down because I have a handout with all these things on it. I'm going to hand out in just a second. Is everybody? Am I being authentic right now, or am I editing myself to be accepted? The second one is, are my words and actions in alignment with my higher intentions? Are my words and actions in alignment with my higher intentions? And remember, this is not about perfection. We're practicing here, right? And the third one is, notice the times that you were in alignment. Notice the times that you did, that you did act and speak in alignment with your higher intention from a place of truth, from a place of love. Notice those times. I think sometimes, we only notice the times that we screwed up, that we didn't do it right? We miss all of those times that we did. We don't focus on. So really acknowledge yourself for all of the times that you did. Good? Okay. And all of these you can work with in your book study groups. These are all good things to work with in the groups. Is everybody signed up for a study group? Small group study group? If you're not, this is something we're all doing together, by the way, as a congregation. We practice this, right? It's not just about coming and being inspired on Sunday, which is wonderful, and we want that. We need that. But it's also practicing these things, and it's really helpful to do it in a small group of people. So these are some ideas that you can work with in those small groups. And we'll share about how to sign up for that a little later. Okay, so another way that you can practice is by giving yourself permission to be fully you. So Brene shares a story in the book about how when she was getting really popular and her TED Talk was really going viral, and I think maybe she had written the book by now, I'm not sure, but Oprah came a-calling and invited her to be a guest on her Super Soul Sunday show. And, being invited as a guest on appearing as a guest on an Oprah show, right? That's life-changing. So she was understandably nervous. And she admitted this to her friend and her partner. And she said, I'm doing that thing I do when I'm afraid. I'm floating above my life, watching it and studying it rather than living it. Have you ever done that before? Yeah, so her friend acknowledged it and said, well, you need to find a way to be present because you don't want to miss this. And so that morning, her daughter comes to her with a permission slip from school that gives her daughter permission to go on a school trip, right? Remember those days when you signed permissions? Some of you are still there. I don't know, times 2 for me. How many permission slips and waivers and forms? Oh, it's a blur. Anyway, this gave her an idea. And she thought, I need to give myself permission to stop being so serious and afraid and have fun and enjoy it. And so she grabbed a Post-it note. I have a feeling she loves Post-it notes. Grabbed a Post-it note and wrote on the top, permission slip. I give myself permission to be excited and goofy and to have fun. And she stuck it in her bag. And it worked. If any of you have seen that show, that Super Soul Sunday, it's still out there if you want to look for it. She is relaxed and having fun, and she and Oprah are laughing, and they're connecting so much that Oprah asks her to stay an additional hour and tape a second show. Wow. It worked. What do you need to give yourself permission to allow? Allow yourself to do or to be. What part of you are you repressing? What part of you is not living fully? What do you need permission to do or to be? And just to clarify, I'm not talking about inappropriate behavior that, might offend somebody, just so we're clear. I'm talking about the joyful self, your joyful, fun, loving, caring, maybe passionate self. Maybe it's a passion for some creative project, or it's a talent that hasn't been expressed. Maybe it's permission to speak your mind. Maybe it's permission to participate in something that really means something to you. Maybe it's permission to be your smart self. There are sometimes women, I think, repress their intelligence because they don't want to appear, intimidating. I hope that's not true, but you know what? I remember my mom telling me when I was an adolescent, and she said, when you're playing a game with a boy, always let him win. And I'm like, what? Why would I do that? It's my parents' generation. So maybe allowing yourself to be your glorious smart self. Or maybe it's, you're too carefree and casual, and you want to give yourself permission for more structure or to have more commitment in your life, Or maybe it's permission to be more loving and caring. Or maybe it's permission to get some coaching help, or to talk to a therapist, or to get a massage. Do we need to give ourselves permission to have a massage? Yeah, sometimes, yeah. So I have to tell you that it wasn't until some wonderful person gave me a gift certificate to this thing called Silver Slippers. That's a ballet class for seniors. Yeah. Yeah, and I'm like, okay. And I danced when I was younger, so it would have been many years. So I go to this class. I made a lot of excuses for not going, but I finally start going in January, and I have to tell you, wow. I have permission to be my ballet self. Yeah, thank you. I mean, what do you need permission to give yourself to do, to express, to be? Right? So Eric Butterworth said, "Within me is the unborn possibility of limitless living, and mine is the privilege of giving birth to it." All right, so we have some handouts that we're going to have passed out right now. The first side has those tips that I was talking about, those practice tips that you want to work on in your groups. And on the opposite side is a permission slip. Yes, we're going to give ourselves permission today. We're going to identify what it is, write it down, and sign it. But before you do that, we're going to go inside and, we'll continue to pass them out. Before you write on them, we're just going to check in with our inner wisdom and listen to that higher guidance within us. Okay, everybody have one? All right, so sit back for a minute. Again, close your eyes. Let's see if you can re-enter that beautiful place that Nathan brought us to a few minutes ago. Breathe into that quiet, sacred, wild space. Connecting with that brave, wild heart of ours. Breathing into that, opening up a space for that inner wisdom to speak and to share with us whatever it is we need to hear about living fully. What do we need to give ourselves permission to do or be to live fully? What haven't I given voice to? What have I been repressing? Where haven't I been living fully? Breathe and listen. And only when you're ready, open your eyes, take the pen. There's one, should be one in the seat back in front of you. Fill it out in the space provided and sign your name and date. Keep breathing through this. It doesn't have to be a novel. Keep it simple. And if you're finished, just kind of hold the space for others to finish. All right. Everybody have their permission slips? You're going to keep it in a place where you can see it to remind yourself that you've given yourself permission to do this. Okay, we have an affirmation that we can do together to really anchor ourselves in this awareness. So let's take a deep breath together and say this affirmation together. I have the courage to stand in my truth with grace. I give myself permission to live fully. And so it is. Hi. If this video has inspired you, opened your heart, expanded your consciousness, filled you with hope, empowered you in some way, we encourage you to support what we offer here at Unity Center of Peace by making your donation now. And thank you.